turn.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
I knew I should have gone with Paint the White House black today. Maybe tomorrow we'll bust out the P-Funk. All right. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Yeah, I'm a little loopy after the president's rally last night. It is going to be a very, very long evening. So this is the boring portion of the day. This is absolutely by far the worst part of election day. In the morning, you get like I was number 245, and you get the stories. The candidates show up to vote, makes it on TV. It's these midday doldrums. There's not much going on. It feels a lot like Dan, were you Christmas morning gift openers or Christmas Eve?
Christmas morning.
Yeah, same here. I don't get Christmas Eve people. You're freaky. And apparently can't read a calendar. It's like Christmas Eve, right? You know that kids might be. Santa is going to show up with presents in the morning. Yeah, that's it. And it's the night before, and you're very excited because there could be a Castle Grayskull there. You don't know. Or it could be like footy pajamas from Santa. Yeah, that's it.
The worst were the non-footy pajamas from your grandmother. You know, the handmade ones that
I
Thanks.
once got a mug from my grandmother with my name misspelled. So, true story. It had E.T. on it. It was really cool. Aside from, the misspelled name.
Did she spell the full thing out, or was it Chris that she misspelled?
With a K. K-R-I-S.
She thought you were a girl. I don't know what to say there.
Yeah, I grew up weird. But it's like the night before Christmas. The presents are there. You want to open them, except in this case, I think it would be a felony to know what you're getting ahead of time. So that's out for the most part. But we sit back, make sure it's tucking. We have to wait. It sucks. All we can do is trust the math. If you were downtown last night, you missed a hell of a rally. It's just in there as photo.jpg just because I yanked it off my iPad. They had a big scissor lift in the press section, so you could go up and get like the big crowd shot. I'll bring this up from the president's final rally last night. That's 20,000 people down. That's a hell of a backdrop. But we were there like in front of Reagan. There's the Blood Center there on the right. The Bloodmobile making a cameo appearance. All the way down. 20,000 was the estimate. Or as Rush Limbaugh is calling today, a sparsely attended final rally from the president in an empty arena is what he is telling his audience. Good time last night. Incredibly cold. It was probably about, 39, 40 degrees out there, but I didn't see people, leaving after Springsteen or anything like that. Pain in the butt to get in there, though. And I mentioned this on Twitter, and I have to admit, Did you
guys have press passes?
Yeah.
So you guys got in, right?
Yeah, it was a pain in the butt. You could tell these last rallies. This isn't like previous ones where everything's set up a month ahead of time. In the last week, you're kind of coming and going as the map dictates. So they didn't have enough security there. They didn't have enough Secret Service to get people in quickly. They put us actually in the handicapped line. All the press, it'd take all our stuff and have a dog go over it, and then I've never, even in my worst Call of Duty games ever, I have never seen that many snipers. Securing that place has to be a nightmare, and utmost respect to the folks at the Secret Service, although there was one guy who was a little ticked that the line was moving slow, started to get into it with a Secret Service agent, If you're ever at a presidential event, they wear the little pins and they have the earpieces and the little thing. Don't mess with them. If you absolutely positively want to know the nearest place possible to confine a human being, mess with the Secret Service, because they don't mess around at all. And this guy was this close to getting yanked out. I was like, oh God, shut up, dude. I don't want to see this. But yeah, I don't know if people were noticing if you were out in the crowd, but on top of every building, snipers, spotters, it was amazing. And then the helicopter that always circles the president's events, which I'm sure is listening to my cell phone conversations, which I guess in that context was cool. But that was the final rally, and you could tell it was ceremonial, I think, at this point. I believe today Romney is making appearances in Ohio and New Hampshire. It's a dumb move. Just forget partisanship aside. How many volunteers, how many campaign resources are going into putting these events, even if it's just a small stop at a, airplane hangar? I think the president, again, smart campaign, got on the TV, did a piece with Dave Price on Channel 13 at noon. Is doing a couple media hits in the swing states. That's how you do it. It doesn't take any resources other than a guy and a camera. Pretty much any reporter you call is going to be more than happy to talk to the president or the Republican candidate on Election Day. So why Romney is heading on the roads, I have no idea. And, of course, there is, as always, some chicanery around reports of electioneering in poll places. Fox News, very excited. They found a Black Panther in Philadelphia. They were trying to do another Black Panther scare, intimidating voters, which is weird because it was in a black district in Philadelphia. And I don't know if you've seen the opening to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Not a Romney stronghold. So for there to be voter intimidation, you would assume they would have to be, he's trying to scare people into voting for Romney. But they kept cutting to this guy, and all he was doing was like smiling and opening the door for old ladies. Like, least intimidating dude ever. But it's time for freakouts and paranoia. Good news. In Franklin County, Ohio, this group, True the Vote, they are a Houston-based Tea Party-affiliated group who, unlike the Black Panthers that Megyn Kelly talked on and on and on and on and on and on and on about, actually did have reports of voter intimidation filed against them. So they were heading to Franklin County, heading from Texas to Ohio, and were actually turned down. They were denied official observer status. According to reports, they had been falsifying the documents to apply to be registered poll watchers. These people like freak out, voter fraud, lied on their own applications. So they had their application turned down. I guess will be sitting around with their hands in their pockets watching Fox News all day. Down in Florida, reports of massive challenges. A woman named Kimberly Kelly apparently is going nuts and challenging every voter she can get her hands on. This is the argument we made when Matt Schultz tried to impose his emergency laws, and one of them was to be, and luckily it was struck down, is that anyone could challenge any vote anonymously. The way it stands right now, you are absolutely positively free to challenge any vote you want, but you have to sign an affidavit. So if it turns out to be fraudulent, it's your butt on the line. I hope you can see the obvious implications if that law is changed. As it seems, I think voter suppression is, well, really, I mean, it's the Hail Mary last chance for the Republican Party, at least to pull out some of these Senate elections and, of course, the presidency. It got so far. Apparently, it is a hot day in Miami today, that whole southern climate. So the NAACP was handing out water to people who were standing in line. Republican poll watchers objected, and the NAACP had to leave. Like, it's gotten to that point. And again, this is partly the fault of Democrats for not showing up in off years and not always collectively putting in the effort in some of these smaller elections. So you end up, and again, it's election after election, magically these inner city precincts, some of your biggest cities, your Clevelands, your St. Louis's, always seem to have incredibly long lines. And again, I think 2010 was the longest I have ever had to wait in line as a suburbanite, and that was probably about 20 minutes. But you go to Miami, and you go to Cleveland, or you go to St. Louis, and some places you're talking 4, 6, 8 hour lines to stand there and wait to vote. Looking at reports today of 300 people in line and one voting machine. And it's a Diebold machine and has to be recalibrated every 45 minutes, further slowing down the line. I mean, you're right on the toe of Banana Republic territory at that point. And yeah, I guess the fault ultimately lies with us and the party for not putting more importance on Secretary of State elections, not putting more emphasis at the county level. So these things don't happen time and time and time again. I think it was someone on my Twitter feed was like, what is it about waiting 6 hours in line that turns everybody black? How does that happen? So those reports are coming in. Yes, you're going to get glitched voting machines. I don't know. I mean, I understand that it's unfortunately not something that's in the Constitution. So each state, gets to do its own election. Each county does it. What is wrong with the Scantron form? I would even go as far as, they have the ballots where it's basically an arrow you fill in. Why all the, electronic voting machines with no paper records, or the butterfly ballots? We had the hanging chad issue. It just seems something pretty straightforward. Like, you can't tell me that those Diebold machines are cheaper than a Scantron. Fill in the oval.
I had no problem voting.
No,
See?
Oh, dear Lord, what was that for?
I think it was for agriculture or something.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was so bad. I never put in the time to hospital trustees.
Yeah, I think you got voted for that one too.
That being said, don't forget to flip over your ballot, especially the judicial retention votes. Justice Wiggins has been targeted by the Vanderplat's crew. While I certainly won't make the guarantee, I am hopeful that if Vanderplat's were to lose this would be the end of his influence in Iowa politics. Because I do think once he has gotten his pound of flesh off the Iowa Supreme Court, the only logical move Because remember, Bob, when his own name is on the ballot, loses, and loses badly. The only place he has ever found electoral success is in bringing others to vote against judges. And this is a failure of exit polling. Because I would pay good money to know the percentage of low information voters, and we'll be nice and polite and call them that, who thought that voting against those judges would get rid of same-sex marriage. I know it's probably, it's not 100%, but I doubt it's a negligible number either.
I vote against every judge every time.
See, I had an AP history teacher that used to say that back in the 90s, before it became politicized. And I don't want judges, again, to have to deal with, career thoughts every single time they make a ruling.
See, and I absolutely...
I want them out of the political
No, see, I absolutely want them to be held accountable for every single rule. But I'm going to vote no every time, so they don't really have to worry about what they're going to vote for, because they don't have my vote no matter what.
There are a lot of people like you that just vote no on the judges. The reason I always get is because, no one ever votes them out anyway, and we know now that's not true. It's why I only give Vanderplaats half credit for getting those 3.
Yeah, because I would have voted them out anyway.
Because you got that 25% of the vote that always votes against all the judges anyway. So you're halfway to Vanderplaats' goal before you even start. So I only give him half credit for that. If he's successful in ousting Judge Wiggins as well, you're not exactly in a target-rich environment at that point. Who does he go after? You want to start going after state senator? Well, then you have to play with the big boys. There wasn't a whole lot of contention over the judges' race, which is and why Vanderplaats didn't find much of a headwind. I think he skips the state's House and the state Senate, probably even the governor's race. My guess is that Vanderplaats and his crew move on to school boards. What kind of fun things can we get on the curriculum there? The more local elections, again, where he won't have such headwind. You start, say, going against a Bruce Braley or something, you're going to get a lot of pushback. I think Vanderplaats is going to look for, the weak in the lane. And we saw 3 Supreme Court justices, kind of play above the fray last time, and it cost him. The Wiggins fight, not so much, and Vanderplaats certainly is not the commodity he once was. And I think if Wiggins retains his seat, that could be the end of Vanderplaats. And he can just go into regular right-wing grifting. Hey, can't stop Ralph Reed, can you? But at least stop mucking up our state to earn his $120,000 a year contract. All right. 244-0077. Email radiobradshaw@gmail.com and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Gee, might have a few things to talk about tonight. When we come back, where we're at. What's the lay of the land? I'll kind of lay out some things to look for tonight. P.S. If Obama gets Florida, not out of the realm of possibility, this whole thing's over and Wolf Blitzer probably cries, which I think is more than worth seeing. So we'll talk about that and what comes next, because that may be the funnest part. So we'll cover that and more when we return here on The Bradshaw Show, www.thebradshawshow.com and Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. Back right after this.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's time to start.
151 and all's
Rock
really
concert
warm
movement
here.
number 1.
76 degrees.
The basic
Good,
head
got the
bob. Ready to
calendar
go.
here. And at least they finally fixed the clock to be on standard time. Bradshaw with you here, hanging out, maxing, relaxing on, again, this is just it's the most boring time. Hey, what are you going to do, make an argument? You want to be real scared, though? Bring up, it's a Google Trends from today. This is what people are searching for on the internet. This should, ruin your faith. Oh, it cuts it off. That's the graph for who is running for president. Bring it back up. Look how it goes to the top searched term today. Little scared by the spike in 2010, since, that's not an election year. But talk about low information voters. Literally, who is running for president?
Well, I don't know that this is indicative of low information voters, though.
Do you know who's running for president?
Not everybody.
Well, I know not everybody is running for president, but do you know who's running for president?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know everybody that's running for president. I do know that the two candidates we do have, I refused to vote for. So that was a valid Google search to see who else was running and what other parties.
But to be the number one search term on that's more than like Miley Cyrus nude.
Maybe that many people absolutely
more than
hate
Hillary
these guys.
Duff, album or Justin Bieber.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the first one would be more exciting than either one of the second.
But that more people are searching for.
I'm telling you, I
who
think
is
people
running
hate
for
these
president.
people that much. But they love Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, okay. Here's one though that will bring up the election ads picture. Here is an ad, or here is an infographic. These are ad avoidance by brand. Not many people tune out Apple ads, and the way they judge this is if you watch like the last. Bring it back for a second. If you watch like the last 5 seconds, so you've watched like through a commercial, and don't make it 5 seconds into another ad, that counts as a tune out. For as sick as we say we are of political ads, one company has them beat. That damn gecko. I assume that's a function of how many Geico ads run. I mean, I'm sorry, you can only see the same ad so many times before you get less of a result, and people just get sick of it. So as much as we say we hate political ads, we hate Geico more. So at least there's some faith in mankind. Watching some of the ad buys, there was a lot of talk last week. Like, Republicans are buying Pennsylvania. See, they're expanding the map, and Pennsylvania could possibly in play. And is this the path to a Romney presidency? Turns out over the last couple of days, no. And the reason Republicans were buying in Pennsylvania, because literally everything else is out. There's no airtime worth buying, I'm sure. Like is the Ion network still a thing? But as far as, your newscasts and sporting events, there's nothing left. So you have these PACs and you have these fundraising groups with more money to spend than there is airtime to buy. Maybe we need to push back the end of daylight savings time another week every 4 years, just so we can get 1 extra hour. Or no, I guess we fall back. So we did get the 1 extra hour. So even with the extra hour, I'm a little sleep deprived today. Highly caffeinated, sleep deprived. Tomorrow will probably be a day of celebration and chillaxing, but you can't buy any more airtime. I did see Kevin Cooney announce that 5:27 tonight, I assume that's the last break in the 5 o'clock news, is their final political ad. Which I was wondering when the campaigns would get smart. I remember in 2008 and 2010 seeing political ads in the 10 o'clock news. I would assume they just bought the day as a whole and let the chips fall where they may. We're almost done with the political ads. So why am I relaxed today, even if I'm incredibly underslept? These are the final 538 numbers. And again, Nate Silver's just one of the modelers. But based on polling, I think as of this morning, 90.9% Obama. So it's not saying, by the way, that Mitt Romney can't win. All right, so don't take this the wrong way. You still need to, get out and vote. We got to finish the fight. We got to keep up the push. But if everything plays out as expected, and here's Silver's final map. Can you bring that one and hold it up there for a second? This is, again, the state-by-state polling and what he thinks the 538 map looks like. Iowa is a safe blue, but Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio looks solid. Colorado, Virginia. The interesting one, Florida. And Florida's been trending red for the last couple months. And just with the last round of state polling shows like 0.1% lead for Obama in that state. Now, obviously, that's based on turnout, and Lord knows Florida is until the Secretary of State of Ohio does his thing, Florida is still, you got to beat the champ to be the champ when it comes to voter suppression. Thank you, Catherine Harris. But based on, again, the polling, now obviously northern Florida is basically southern Alabama. But, Miami-Dade and, the places people live in mass could be enough to put Obama over the top. And I guarantee if I'm the news director at CNN or MSNBC or Fox, I'm watching those numbers like a hawk. Because if Florida goes blue, pretty much everything west of Iowa doesn't matter. Like we know Washington, Oregon, California, you can just count those. Nevada looks done. Same thing with New Mexico. It doesn't matter what Colorado does. It really doesn't matter what Virginia does. Florida would even take Ohio out of the pivot state equation. So if Obama wins Florida, you can pretty much wrap up election night and start celebrating early. Virginia, not quite the same effect. And again, it's not a huge lead. It's not a foregone conclusion. It's not a done deal. Don't take any of this that way. I know a lot of, again, really bad talking heads and pundits have reacted very sharply to the Nate Silvers of the world. Again, something I don't think Nate Silver, I've told this story a billion times by now, but one last time won't hurt. Got to start doing baseball statistics and how to, accurately judge player performance. Kind of revolutionized the field with his PECOTA ratings, and I love Baseball Prospectus, even if it's gone slightly downhill since Nate left. But he encountered a lot of pushback sports writers and political writers are very similar, even though they cover different subjects. They cover them in the same way. And where Nate Silver would come along and talk about, the actual value a player brings and, the value of runs scored and all that fun stuff. The old-time sports writers wanted to talk about grit and hustle and, does he have the fortitude and things like that. It turned out, again, are irrelevant. Silver's doing very similar work in the political realm. I mean, obviously, anyone whose job relies on you tuning in for as many hours as possible. Again, whether it's Sean Hannity, whether it's the folks at CNN or any of the cable news networks, it's the TV anchors. It is in their best interest that you believe this is an absolutely neck and neck, dead tide. Anyone can win. And if you don't tune in, you're going to miss it. Election, and that's simply not the case. And you've seen a lot of pushback against Nate Silver, but the model is what the model is. In fact, whether it's the Princeton guys who do the same thing and have been doing it for years, or any of the other models out there, I would argue Nate Silver is actually kind of conservative, not like Big C, God hates gays conservative. I'm saying just he doesn't take it too far and factors in error. So where guys like Princeton are showing, 98, 99% Obama victory, he'll keep it at 90, kind of keep the foot off the gas a little bit. To at least, account for error, not go too far. Meanwhile, in Fantasyland, bring up this is a screen grab of Rush Limbaugh's website. I go so that you don't have to, all right? I take the hazard pay. You gotta love this. I mean, someone please try to explain how this headline makes sense. Other than, identifiable data, Romney landslide. Does anyone really believe that Romney is headed toward, other than the unskewed polls guy, does anyone believe that Romney is headed to a landslide? I mean, morons, but other than that. But this is what they're feeding their audience today, which is why tonight is going to be so much fun. I know yesterday Fox was trying to make a thing out of the president over the weekend, saying that, voting is the best revenge. The context of that remark was, in Ohio, you have people calling, saying, hey, I saw this political ad from Romney. Am I going to lose my job? Are they shipping my job to China? No. Actually, the line is BS. Here's the CEO of Chrysler saying this ad is BS. In fact, we're adding jobs in Ohio and additional manufacturing in China to meet a growing Chinese market. We're actually growing both. Good for the company. So Obama said, the best revenge is voting. And by the way, the folks at Chrysler agree. Everyone at Chrysler has today off. Best served in Ohio.
Maybe they'll have tomorrow off.
Now,
indefinitely.
But they do have today off. Every Chrysler employee. This coming via Politico. Chrysler's vice president of design, Ralph Gibbs, said the company gave its entire workforce the day off to vote. Let's go, he wrote. So, I know yesterday Fox, I saw Romney and Ryan picking up on the line as well. And I get, after the last 4 years, after every insane conspiracy theory, after every accusation of racism, communism, Marxism, socialism, Nazism, Kenyan anti-colonialism, FEMA death camps, long-form birth certificates, anti-American. President Obama has been called every name in the book. And that's part of the job. Faced unprecedented pushback by a Congress that announced on day one, our goal is to make him a one-term president. Who even before he took office, colleagues of Joe Biden's in the Senate for decades told him, hey man, we can't work with you. We can't play with you. We've seen, the debt ceiling, the full faith and credit of the U.S. government held hostage. And this is, by the way, just the crazy wingnut Michelle Bachmann, Steve King portion of the party. Mitt Romney is basically making the same argument on the stump speech, probably as we speak, somewhere in Ohio. If you don't elect me, Congress might not vote to raise the debt ceiling, and that would cause a problem. It's the, $5,000 suit version of, hey, it's a nice country you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. If the Republican Party had plans, ideas, facts on their side, we'd probably hear them. We probably would have seen a lot of them, but we haven't. And instead, we get extortion. So when the president says, revenge, yeah, I'm good with that. I know I'm a little more partisan than most, but Lord knows I've read my email for the last 4 years. Just driving in today, drove by the convention center, and that's where it all started for me. Radio Row, getting ready for the 08 caucuses. And again, it was a big caucus year because we didn't have an incumbent. So, everyone, the entire world's media is there. We're set up right next to the folks from Al Jazeera or, the BBC. You go upstairs and there's the ABC set, the CBS set, the Fox set, all of that. And I remember it was arguing with Terry McAuliffe. He was Hillary's main money person. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I've been leaning Obama. I'm going Obama. And that's where I went and caucus. But it all kind of started at that convention center. And here we are on Election Day, 4 years later. President holds his final rally here in Des Moines. I got to admit, I have been disappointed with the president. I think his quest for bipartisanship has hurt him with his own base in an attempt to appeal to people who believe that he is literally the most anti-American human being on the face of the earth. And nothing he does, no matter how, middle of the road. You can take the Republicans' health care plan that even, back as 2007, guys who are now considered Tea Party stalwarts were arguing was a model for the nation. Guys like Jim DeMint. Right, plans that were celebrated by Newt Gingrich and Bob Dole. And is now a socialist takeover of the healthcare system. The derangement, the disconnection from reality. I have to admit, I'm excited to watch these people, go down in flames. Again, not claiming the high ground here by any means, but I am absolutely looking forward to a beatdown tonight, electorally. Don't want to get those Black Panther fearful people all riled up. I'm giddy. I'm excited. We put in the work. We've done the heavy lifting. I've never done this before. I've always kind of stayed outside the fray. when I'm done today, I'm going phone banking. I got the 6 to 9 shift tonight for that last get out the vote push. I called a friend of mine, my old boss, and he's like, can't talk. I'm doing get out the vote stuff. We put in the heavy lifting, and tonight we get, again, if the math holds, a reward. And I'm very much looking forward to that. So can we start the Schadenfreude just a little early?
You do whatever you want, boss.
Good answer.
I'm out washing windows.
I know. I was trying to figure out what the hell you were doing out there. A couple months ago, I predicted, another correct prediction I might have, that we wouldn't see Terry Branstad as a national surrogate for Romney again. You remember that?
Vaguely.
Well, I will refresh your memory, because this is Governor Branstad on with Chuck Todd. This was back in August, and they sent Branstad, our governor, on with Chuck Todd to push the BS line that the president was gutting work requirements in welfare. And Chuck Todd's not exactly a firebrand, but he's rolling his eyes and be like, sure, whatever. This doesn't go the way Branstad expected. And this is Governor Branstad talking with Chuck Todd and getting called out.
Welfare in the 1990s. Now the Obama administration is trying to undo the work requirement. We think that we need to, instead of trying to put more people.
Well, wait a minute, Governor Branstad, I can't let that go. They haven't done that. They haven't.
In the Farm Bill,
done that.
That's the biggest difference.
They haven't undone the work requirements.
Is the stamp program.
I'm trying to understand. You went after the work requirements. Is trying to go back. You leveled a charge about the welfare work requirements. It turns out that's not true. Where did you get your information?
It absolutely is. I was one of the governors that helped get it, and when we passed it, it was designed not to be waived, and now the President of the United States has, by executive order in July, weakened that, which was very effective. We've reduced
the waivers are for state governors. The waivers are for you.
By 50%. Governor Tommy Thompson was a leader of this in Wisconsin. He just won the primary yesterday. You're going to hear more about this because this president never supported work for welfare, and now he's trying to weaken it.
But again, it was a waiver for governor. He's not doing anything. If governors weaken it to a certain point, the federal government yanks the waiver.
Well, here's our concern is you've got some liberals that are going to try to use that. But what we think is the effective welfare reform that we pass on a bipartisan basis with governors like John Engler and Tommy Thompson and I working for it in the 90s has worked effectively. Liberals have always hated it. Obama is playing to his liberal base by trying to weaken that. And we think that's wrong. We think it's one of the most effective things that's been done in the last 2 decades. But we need to do similar things.
When all of the nothing about what I don't understand is nothing about this issue has been every charge that has been leveled about this welfare reform order that the president signed, that every accusation that has been leveled by some Republicans have been proven to be not true.
Well, the fact of the matter is the president did it. He didn't have to take this action to weaken the strong work requirement that was passed back in the 1990s. It doesn't weaken it.
It gives the states.
I was president when I was governor before.
Okay, well.
He did it. He did it because he's never supported the work requirement. And the fact of the matter is, it's
the work still there, Governor.
It's there. Well, we don't want to see waivers of this because once you start waivers, that's how we got to welfare reform. We insisted on having work requirements, and then we got a national law, and we want to keep it in.
So that was Governor Branstad. And he does make a point. He was correct about one thing, and that is Obama didn't have to grant these waivers. The funny thing was, you go back to 2005, and the Republican Governors Association actually drafted a mass letter asking for waiver ability. And it was signed by noted liberals like Mike Huckabee, Rick Perry, and Governor Mitt Romney of Massachusetts. The reason they sent Branstad out to do that is because he wasn't governor in 2005, so he could go on and make the debunked claim without having that letter shoved in his face. Like, you asked for waivers. You couldn't send Rick Perry. You couldn't send Mike Huckabee, Haley Barbour. So they sent Branstad out, and it didn't go well. Now, it took months of work. Took a long time, took a lot of effort. Last night on CNN, and coincidentally another Iowa question, I have found a worse Romney surrogate than Governor Branstad. This was a gal on with, I believe, John King and Anderson Cooper last night. Asked, is there any way Mitt Romney can win Iowa? Now, the answer is no, but you wouldn't be a very good surrogate if you said that. You'd be an even worse surrogate if you say this.
How does Governor Romney, it's only 6, but it could be an important 6, get Iowa?
Well, let me tell you, let me just give you some numbers. The first one is 23 million. That's the number of people in this country who are still struggling to find work. The next one is 7.9. Unemployment in this country is higher today than when President Obama took office. I understand what the question was, but it goes to message. The reason that Governor Romney is going to win in these states and ultimately become the next president is because he has a positive, optimistic vision for the future, and he's been explaining that. President Obama doesn't. He's been campaigning on small ideas and petty attacks, and he's encouraging his voters to get out for revenge. Governor Romney is encouraging our voters to get out for love of country, and he wants to bring people together. He wants to work in Washington.
Can we just avoid the talking points at this point? Because we're one day before the election, and John asked a very specific question about Iowa. If you want to answer it, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not talking points, Anderson. I would disagree with that. This is exactly what the campaign is going to come down to. It's what this message is going to come down to, whether we want 4 more years of the last 4 years
you don't want to talk about Iowa?
A new direction. Well, sure. What's your question about Iowa?
One.
What was her question about Iowa?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Because, I mean, she kind of drowned out that.
That was bad.
Well, that's
I want to answer your question about Iowa. What was your question about Iowa?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I understand. Things are not easy at Camp Romney these days. But that one was... So they finally found a worse surrogate than Governor Branstad. Congratulations. I guess John Sununu was out at burning crosses or something last night, so they had to find the film. I just want to know, when did the mom from the Gilmore Girls become a Romney surrogate? It was bad enough when I saw it yesterday that, and this breaks my heart, Melissa Joan Hart announced that she was voting for Mitt Romney. So far, she hasn't explained it all as far as her reason goes. I would be okay. It's not that she endorsed a Republican. For example, if she would to endorse Christine O'Donnell. Okay, I'm good with that. Makes sense. All right, there's some synergy there. Sabrina, Christine, it works. But to see her vote for Romney, in the words of a great American, whoa, I felt a little sad. Does anyone know who Alf is voting for? He's been around long enough, right? He's probably got a green card. Speaking of celebrity endorsements, by the way, hey Dan, bring up the Linda McMahon flyer. She is the Republican. This is her second shot at the Senate, and I'm not saying that she doesn't have faith in Mitt Romney. This is the flyer that she is handing out. Linda McMahon's set to drop about, I think all told between her 2 runs, $75-80 million of her own money, and looks like she's going to be 0 for 2. But you know it's bad when you're running around saying it's okay to vote for Obama and me. I'm sure Mitt greatly appreciates that. Another kick in the pants, courtesy of, Chris Christie, who will probably be one of the people blamed after the results tonight. The story was leaked yesterday that Romney had asked Chris Christie to campaign with him. Now, obviously, Chris Christie has bigger things to do these days, more important things. But that story leaks. I assume, again, as we continue to spread the blame. See, it'll be Chris Christie's fault because he appeared with the president and didn't appear with Romney. And so it's not our fault. It's someone else's. Because understand, to these people, literally, conservatism cannot fail. It never fails. Nothing about it ever is wrong.
Yeah,
it is only failed by others.
The Chris Christie with the president makes a lot more sense than Romney, because if he starts distancing himself now, 2016, and some Jenny Craig comes into sight, and we'll be good.
Well, yeah. Well, we talked about this. We'll know if Chris Christie's running because he'll pull a Huckabee and lose the way. But I think Chris Christie was a little ticked at being thrown under the bus yesterday. Because according to his news conference today, there was no such invitation. He said he spoke directly with Romney before the storm to say that his responsibilities as governor would preclude him from making any more campaign trips if the storm held out on its current path. Romney said he agreed. He said all this other noise coming from know-nothing, disgruntled Romney staffers who don't like the fact I said nice things about the President of the United States. Well, that's too bad for them. When you get to the end of a campaign and it's unsure of the results, those that fear that may be blamed if things don't go well. Try to look out for other people to blame. Zing. So the Chris Christie thrown under the bus routine. And again, a couple weeks, I think it was last week, played the video of him on Fox and Friends. I saw the president down there with you. Will Romney get a chance? Are you stupid? And to be honest, when you're talking to Brian Kilmeade and Steve Doocy and Gretchen Carlson, the answer is yes. But it was still nice to see someone say. It's something I saw. Very nice thing I saw pointed out yesterday that it took President Obama to bring together the right-wing blowhard Chris Christie and his idol, the man that was in Des Moines last night, Bruce Springsteen. He brought the two of them together, told the story. Springsteen was flying Air Force One out to Wisconsin or Ohio yesterday, and the president was on the phone with Chris Christie talking about emergency, relief and all this stuff. He says, hold on a second, I got someone here for you, and put Springsteen on the phone. Chris Christie's been to over 100 Springsteen concerts, loves, idolizes him in a way that is probably a little, just a smidge creepy, but that's just how he rolls. And apparently Chris Christie was very touched by this. So Barack Obama managed to bring together Chris Christie and Bruce Springsteen. Perhaps he did earn that Nobel Peace Prize. See, anything is possible. The boss and a right-wing blowhard together. Anyway. 244-0077. Email radiobradshaw@gmail.com and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. There will be fun, frivolity, and schadenfreude tonight in the Twitter feed. Prepare thyself. Lanny emails. I just turned on Fox News, heard our Secretary of State threatening to arrest foreign poll observers if they come within 300 feet of a polling station. What the hell is wrong with these people? Poll watchers have been allowed to observe for many years, haven't they? Yes, they've been here since 2002. And this is part of a program the U.S. Helped put together, sending observers to elections around the world. And I pointed this out to a local right-wing blogger. I mentioned that our Secretary of State was kowtowing to conspiracy theorists and nutzos. And I'm still waiting for an answer. Shane, if you want to get back to me, feel free. As if this is such a dire emergency, why didn't Matt Schultz bring it up in 2010 when he was running for office for Secretary of State on a jobs platform, which I'm still trying to figure out, and I've never gotten a good answer what that's about. This is part, again, the GOP eating itself. I mean, we are to the point now where here in the state of Iowa, our state GOP platform actually includes UN conspiracy theories. I mean, it really is if you want to be scared, I guess, lose some faith in the future of mankind, go read the Iowa Republican Party platform. And read about the Agenda 21 conspiracy. George Soros is going to outlaw golf courses. Nuttery they have. It's a really weird mix of kind of regular conservative issues. Ron Paul, kill your parents, wing nuttery, and the religious right. And you kind of cram all of those together. That's the party platform. So magically,
I'm really worried about golf courses.
As am I.
I love my golf. I play once a year, no matter what.
Don't worry, George Soros isn't going to. I'll forward you my secret George Soros newsletters.
Can you do that? I mean, do you got him on like speed dial? Because I know you're controlled by him.
Oh yeah, I'm on the Soros payroll, like everyone else.
Is that pay good though? I mean, because I'm willing to be a rat for a certain amount, right?
No, we get paid in the blood of Christian infants.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to be in on that. That's pretty gross.
Stuff's pretty valuable.
You should probably take that back. It's probably too far. There's a line, and somewhere you just jumped off a cliff on the other side of that line.
I'm just following Governor Palin's lead.
No, she just sees Russia from her house.
She claimed blood libel.
Yeah, but that's different. That's
true, because Sarah Palin
that's misinterpreting what her word means. That's not
because she doesn't know what it means.
But you know, so you're without excuse.
I'm just following.
Hey,
that
Bradshaw,
idiot half-term governor of Alaska.
If everybody was jumping off a cliff, would you do it too?
Depends on what's on the bottom.
Death.
Well, then probably not. But if
Okay.
it was filled with marshmallow fluff and
yeah, even then though, it's going to get in your hair. I mean, imagine
that'd be awesome. It'd be like the world's best foam party.
Can you think about how long that would take to clean off? I mean, it's kind of disgusting to me a little bit. Foam's different. Marshmallows, not so much.
I could take a warm shower. That's fine.
That's not going to come off with a warm shower.
And I'm even comfortable enough with myself. You can come too, Dan.
You know what? If you jumped into a giant vat of marshmallow, I would roast you.
Then you'd shower with me? Oh.
I would roast you.
No, it's a kooky collection of conspiracy theories. So Matt Schultz is jumping on board with the latest in an attempt to pander because Matt Schultz isn't interested in being Secretary of State. He wants to be governor. And he sees his best path as Secretary of State, because let's be honest, he was running for the State House or State Senate, then he'd probably have to accomplish something, and that's not really his MO now, is it? I'm just glad that if we were a pivotal state, certainly both campaigns want Iowa, but neither absolutely positively you go home if you lose it, so we're not going to see the same amount of Ohio-ness that Ohio and Florida are going to get your voter suppression all-stars. Anyway, I am out of time, which is good because I'm absolutely out of juice. I am exhausted. I'm going to go home, sit on the couch, catch a breather, do some volunteering tonight. If you get a chance, just go to barackobama.com. You just make 3 phone calls for Get Out the Vote efforts, and you can make that Nate Silver map come true. They got this stuff down. They know what they're doing. Trust the system. Trust the math. Just go to the website. If you have any friends that haven't voted, even if you're not registered, you can register same day. Don't forget to bring your Acorn card so you get that second vote. That's very important. And we will reconvene tomorrow. Dan, you just pick one. You want 312 or do you want Grain Belt? You ever had Grain Belt Premium?
I've never had Grain Belt Premium.
All right, we're bringing Grain Belt Premium.
Bring the Grain Belt.
All right, we got to go with the Blue State beer. We're going to kick back, We're going to celebrate. Have no fear.
If I don't have a beer here, the show doesn't go on tomorrow. Though. I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
Either way, I need a beer.
Because, again, today is the one day. I don't particularly care for stump speeches. They're pretty bland overall. But one thing that stood out from the one the president's been using for the last week or so is, the Koch brothers are always going to have a seat at the table. Why? They can buy a seat at the table. The Gingriches and even the guys like Romney. You got $250 million, you can make yourself a seat at the table. Today's like the one day, no matter, again, if you're a super PAC billionaire, Joe Ricketts or something, if you're that weird Hungarian guy that's all over the TV that I would really like to go away, today's the day where we get to rise up and kick back, let loose, and show them what we can really do. You can't buy, 100,000 votes. You can't buy 500 million votes. You only get the one. And at least for one day, the Soroses, the Becks, the Koch brothers, the Scaife, the Coors have the exact same voice that I do, that you do. And, well, there's more of us than there are of them. So, in the words of Sean Hannity, let not your heart be troubled. Trust the math, put in the work, and the results should be a lot of fun tonight. And we'll reconvene tomorrow to discuss the gory details. Get out, vote, take a friend, unless they're a Republican. Call your grandma, call any Ohioans you may know, or Floridians. Let's finish the fight. Let's bring this
You're out of
thing
time.
home. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, Dan.